TV soap news and spoilers say that August 18, 2025, promises to be a day of seismic shifts and heart-wrenching truths in the world of Beyond the Gates. As the characters navigate a labyrinth of secrets, betrayals, and life-altering discoveries, the stage is set for an unforgettable episode. Brace yourself for a whirlwind of emotions as we delve into the lives of Leslie, Peaches, Ted, Doug, Ashley, Derek, and Shanice Thornton, where every revelation threatens to reshape their futures. Leslie's world on the brink of collapse. Leslie Harper stood at the precipice of a life she could scarcely comprehend, her days filled with the mundane rhythm of routine, work, home, and the quiet hum of a life she thought she understood. But on August 18th, everything she believed about herself and her world would be shattered in an instant. The catalyst? A visit from Peaches Montgomery, a woman whose presence carried the weight of a storm cloud ready to burst. Peaches, with her enigmatic aura and a past intertwined with Leslie's in ways she could never have imagined, arrived at Leslie's modest apartment with a purpose that was both urgent and ominous. The air grew thick with tension as Peaches sat across from Leslie, her eyes heavy with a truth that had been buried for decades. Leslie, blissfully unaware, offered her guest a cup of tea, her smile warm but fleeting. She had no idea that the words about to spill from Peaches' lips would unravel the very fabric of her existence. "Leslie," Peaches began, her voice trembling with the weight of what she was about to reveal, "there's something you need to know. It's about your mother, and it's about you." Leslie's heart skipped a beat, her fingers tightening around the delicate handle of her teacup. Her mother? The woman she had known as her mother had passed years ago, leaving behind only vague memories and a handful of photographs. What could Peaches possibly know that Leslie didn't? The truth, as Peaches revealed, was a bombshell that would echo through Leslie's life like a thunderclap. Barbara, a name Leslie had only heard in passing, was not just a distant figure in her family's history, she was Leslie's real mother. The woman who had raised her, loved her, and tucked her into bed each night was not the one who had given her life. The revelation hit Leslie like a tidal wave, her mind reeling as she struggled to process the betrayal of a lifetime. How could such a secret have been kept from her? And why was Peaches telling her now? But Peaches wasn't finished. There was more, a secret so monumental it could alter the trajectory of Leslie's future. Barbara, it turned out, had left behind more than just a hidden truth. She had left a legacy, a small fortune tucked away in a trust, waiting for Leslie to claim it. The news was dizzying. Leslie, who had scraped by her entire life, working long hours at a job that barely paid the bills, was now the heir to a sum that could change everything. A house, perhaps. A new start. A chance to escape the grind that had defined her existence. But the money came with strings. Strings that would pull Leslie into a world she wasn't sure she was ready to face. Desperate for guidance, Leslie's thoughts turned to Anita, her closest confidant and the one person who could help her navigate this storm of revelations. Anita, with her sharp wit and unyielding loyalty, would know what to do. Leslie grabbed her coat and ran out the door, her heart pounding as she raced toward answers, unaware that the path ahead was fraught with even more surprises. Peaches Montgomery was no stranger to secrets. Her life had been a tapestry woven with hidden truths, each one carefully guarded, each one a weight she carried alone. But the secret about Leslie's mother was different. It was a burden too heavy to bear any longer. Peaches had known Barbara well, perhaps too well, and the knowledge of Leslie's true parentage had gnawed at her for years. She had watched Leslie from afar, seen her struggle, seen her resilience, and known that the truth could either destroy her or set her free. As Peaches sat in Leslie's living room, the memories flooded back, memories of Barbara, vibrant and fierce, a woman who had lived a life full of contradictions. Barbara had loved Leslie fiercely, but circumstances had forced her to make impossible choices. The decision to give Leslie up had been one of them, a choice born of desperation and sacrifice. Peaches had promised Barbara she would protect the secret, but now, with her own time running out, Peaches could no longer keep silent. The doctors had been clear, Peaches' days were numbered. A terminal diagnosis had a way of stripping away pretenses, of forcing one to confront the things left unsaid. She had to tell Leslie the truth, not just about her mother, but about the inheritance that awaited her. It was a chance for Leslie to have the life Barbara had always wanted for her, a life of possibility, of freedom from the chains of poverty. But as Peaches spoke, she saw the confusion and pain in Leslie's eyes, and her heart ached. Had she done the right thing, or had she just set Leslie on a collision course with a past she wasn't ready to face? Peaches left Leslie's apartment with a heavy heart, knowing that the truth she had unleashed would ripple through their lives in ways she couldn't predict. She could only hope that Leslie would find the strength to embrace her new reality, and that Anita would be there to guide her through the storm. Ted's turmoil, a heart in need of healing. Across town, Ted Sullivan was fighting a battle of his own. The ink on his divorce papers was barely dry, and the weight of his failed marriage to Nicole hung over him like a dark cloud. Every day was a struggle to keep his head above water, to find a reason to get out of bed when the life he had built had crumbled to dust. Ted had always prided himself on his strength, his ability to weather any storm, but this was different. The loneliness was suffocating, and the memories of happier times with Nicole haunted him at every turn. Enter Doug, Ted's oldest friend and a man who knew the depths of heartbreak all too well. Doug had been through his own share of losses, and though he wasn't one for grand gestures or flowery words, he had a quiet wisdom that Ted desperately needed. On August 18th, Doug would sit Ted down at their favorite diner, a place where they had shared countless laughs and late-night confessions over greasy burgers and lukewarm coffee. This time, though, the conversation would be different. "Ted, you can't keep doing this to yourself," Doug would say, his voice steady but firm. "Nicole's gone. The marriage is over. But you're still here, and you've got to figure out how to live again." Ted would stare into his coffee, the steam rising like the ghosts of his past, and wonder if Doug was right. Could he find a way to move forward? Could he rebuild a life that felt worth living? Doug's advice wasn't just about letting go, it was about rediscovering purpose. He would urge Ted to reconnect with the things that once brought him joy, his music, his love of hiking, the dreams he had set aside when he built a life with Nicole. It wouldn't be easy, Doug would warn, but it was possible. And Ted, for the first time in months, would feel a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Doug's words were the lifeline he needed to pull himself out of the darkness. At the hospital, Ashley Thornton was living a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Her brother, Derek, had been paralyzed in a horrific car accident months ago, and every day since had been a battle against despair. The sterile halls of the hospital, with their fluorescent lights and endless beeping monitors, had become her second home. But on August 18th, everything would change. Derek was returning to the hospital for a critical procedure, one that could either give him a chance at recovery or cement his fate. Ashley was no stranger to hardship, but this was different. Watching Derek, once so full of life, now confined to a bed, unable to move, was a pain she couldn't describe. She had always been the strong one, the one who held the family together, but now she was drowning. She needed help, and there was only one person she could turn to, Shanice Thornton, her cousin and a nurse at the hospital. Shanice was a force of nature, a woman whose compassion was matched only by her determination. When Ashley approached her, her voice trembling with fear and exhaustion, Shanice didn't hesitate. "We're going to get through this," she promised, her hand resting on Ashley's shoulder. "Derek's a fighter, and so are you. We'll do whatever it takes." But the road ahead was uncertain. Derek's condition was precarious, and the procedure carried risks that no one dared to voice aloud. Would he ever walk again? Would he ever laugh, run, or live the life he once had? The questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered and unanswerable. Ashley clung to Shanice's strength, praying that her cousin's expertise and unwavering support would be enough to pull Derek through. The hospital, with its cold walls and endless uncertainties, was a battlefield, and Ashley was ready to fight, for Derek, for hope, for a miracle. As the sun sets on August 18th, the lives of Leslie, Peaches, Ted, Doug, Ashley, Derek, and Shanice will converge in ways they never could have imagined. Secrets will be laid bare, hearts will be tested, and the future will hang in the balance. Beyond the Gates is more than a story. It's a tapestry of human resilience, of the bonds that hold us together and the truths that threaten to tear us apart. Tune in on Monday to witness the drama unfold. Will Leslie embrace her new reality, or will the weight of her mother's secret crush her? Can Ted find the strength to rebuild his life with Doug's help? And will Ashley and Shanice find a way to save Derek from the shadow of his injuries? We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV soap news and spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.